So today we're going to talk about if we have very complicated sine and cosine functions and how we can actually graph these. Okay. So on this, what we're going to do is the formulas are very straightforward. So you just look at the formulas and pull out the information. So in this case, I want you to look at the sine function and cosine function. You'll notice they're almost identical. Okay. A is the amplitude. We've already talked about that. We've also talked about the period being 2 pi over b. Okay, b is the number that's in front of here. Now a phase shift. This is interesting. That means that if I were to take this and just physically pick it up and move it, a space. Okay. So then again, if you think about the idea of horizontal shifts, it's the same thing. C impacts that, but b is a part of it as well, which is why this is a little complicated because this number b will be part of the shift. So we need to make sure that we understand that when we're doing it. So a phase shift is going to physically move, okay, by a factor of negative c over b. And a vertical shift is d. That's easy. All right. So we just need to make sure that we understand where each of these numbers come from. They come out of the formulas. Very, very easy today. Your homework, basically, you're just pulling numbers out of the formulas and solving problems with them. And listing all the amplitude, the period, the phase shift, and the vertical shift. I don't think there's any graphing. I think I said that last time too. I don't think there's any graphing, but you will have to also, you'll have to do different types. You'll be able to take a function, pull out all the information, or if you're given all the information, you need to be able to write the function. So let's go through those really quick. In this case, we're going to state the amplitude, period, phase shift, and vertical shift of each function. So on this number 1, okay, it's the cosine of t plus 1. The amplitude is the number that's in front of the cosine. There is no number there, so the amplitude is 1. Okay. The period is the number that's in front of the t, and there's no number there, so this one is very easy. Our period is 2 pi, because typically it's 2 pi over b. In this case, b is 1. All right. Our phase shift is negative b over c. That's what the formula says. So we have a negative 1 over c in this case, which is 1. So our phase shift is negative 1. And our vertical shift is, you'll notice there's nothing added onto the end of the function, so our vertical shift is 0. And this is all you have to do for these. Right? You have to be able to pull this information out. Let's look at 2. Amplitude, okay, absolute value of A, which is 7. Okay, fairly simple, right? Okay. The period, okay, this is another one. There's no B on the T, so the period is 2 pi. Okay. Phase shift, a little bit different, right? Negative B over C, negative 1 over 3. So the phase shift is negative 1/3. So it's going to shift it negative 1/3 units back. Okay. And the vertical shift, there is no vertical shift. So I had this backwards, didn't I? Here's the formula. I got something wrong. I'm like, this is not right. I'm doing something wrong. It's negative c over b. Okay, let's fix phase shifts. Okay, obviously, I should look at the formulas before I do problems. So it's negative 1 over 1, which is still negative 1 in this case, but this is the one. I'm like, that did not make any sense. Negative 3 over 1, which is negative 3. So it's going to physically shift the graph backwards 3 units. That makes much more sense. Okay, that makes much more sense. I want to point something out here that a skill that you ought to develop. Okay, you'll notice here I had the formula wrong. I didn't realize I had the formula wrong. Right, but as soon as I got my answer, I knew that something had to be wrong. Because a phase shift, this 3 would physically move it 3 units, not 1/3 unit. So I was able to look at my problem and know that I did something wrong because I had an understanding of the material. Okay, now this is important. I think a lot of people, they'll just write answers down without taking the time to step back and say, does this make sense? It's an important problem-solving technique that I really, really want you to develop. It's not something I can take, that I can teach. It's something that you have to be able to physically look at a problem and say, does that make sense? And if it doesn't make sense, go back and try again. All right. So vertical shift. Sorry, shifting back into the problem. Okay. Vertical shift. There is no d value, so the vertical shift is 0. All right. So far we did those 2 problems. Very easy. Let's go ahead and do next 2. Not working. All right. So number 3. Amplitude is the absolute value of negative 5, which is 5. Okay. My period. Oh, here we have a shift in a period. Okay. My period is going to be 2 pi So that gives me pi. Okay, and then my phase shift, okay, is negative c over b. Oh, and my phase shift is negative c. C is 0, so negative 0 over b, so it's going to be 0. All right, and then my vertical shift, you'll notice there is no d, so it is 0. Okay. So let's look at number 4. This one, an amplitude is 1. There's no number in front of the cosine. My period, this is the hard one. Right? It is 2 pi divided by 2 pi over 3. Okay, so we're going to change this to 2 pi times 3 over 2 pi. Those cancel, so my period is 3. And these are hard to graph because usually we're typically, we graph in terms of pi. This has no pi, so these are really hard to graph. So where was it? That's my period phase shift. Okay, again is 0. 0 over 2 pi over 3. It's still 0. And my vertical shift is also 0. Alright, so these are fun problems. I like these. These are ones where we're given the answers and we have to build our formulas. So these can be a little tough, but I really like these problems. So I'm going to start with this one. Okay, so this is the amplitude, the period, the phase shift, and the vertical shift. Right, so we know right now there's going to be nothing added onto the function. This is going to be a sine function. Right? So we have a sine of something. So my amplitude is the first number. The absolute value of this, would be 3. Okay. My b value, okay, now this is important. My b value is pi over 4 is equal to 2 pi over b. So this is important to notice that this value right here is equal to 2 pi over b. So I have to solve it for b. So I get b pi equals 8 pi, okay, divided by pi on both sides. Or some of you can do this in less steps than this. B equals 8. So my answer here is going to be 8. Okay, now my c value, so this is negative c over b, is this value right here. So negative c over b is going to be, that means that pi over 5 equals negative c over 8. Alright, so we're going to basically multiply both sides by 8. So I get 8 pi over 5. This is a negative c, so it's a negative 8 this pi. So it's going to be sine 8t minus 8 pi over 5. And then we don't have to plus anything because of the 0. See how fun that was? I think that's so fun. Okay, I know you guys are going to come back and say, no, that wasn't very much fun. But I think. Okay, and now this one. So we have a sine function. Amplitude 1. This is my period, so it's 2 equals 2 pi over b, so it's 2b equals 2 pi, so b equals pi. Alright, so my sine of pi t. Now my c value is going to be 3 equals negative c over pi. So c is going to equal negative 3 pi. That should be easy math, right? So minus 3 pi. And my d value is 4. See, those are fun. Those are fun. Have fun with this. Have fun with your homework today.